On the rocky downhill, Furtado soared down to the bottom of the first lap.
And then when I made the Olympics in cycling, the letters and the support that meant the most to me came from Stratton. And it was kind of always like, what the hell? And I'm like, I know, what the hell? I don't know what's going on here, but I'm riding the wave. And it was so fun to get that support from the people here, the friendships I made here, and was really my true love. To be in such a supportive community when you're young and shaping your personality and your work habits throughout the rest of your life is so important. And Stratton really, really melds all that together to the point where when I was close to graduating, is Larry Herrick here? I'm blind up here, by the way. It's like, I don't know if Academy Awards are like this too. I need my sunglasses. Larry said to me, you should go to a small school, like Middlebury or Dartmouth or something like that. And I'm like, oh, because I'm so smart. And I thought that for decades. Until, I don't know, about 15 years ago, I was on Facebook, which is very rare, and I said, do you remember you told me to go to a small college? And he goes, yeah, and I'm like, why? And I fully expected him to say, because I was so smart. And instead, he said, because I thought you would excel at a smaller college, a closer community. And he was right, and I didn't go to a smaller college, and it would have been much better for me. But my point in telling that story more is that there's not many schools that would recognize that in a 15, 16, 17-year-old that knew what was going on behind the eyes and what they needed. And that's what Stratton gave me. So that's, I've just never forgotten that. But what I'd like to do now, before I leave, is I'd like anyone who knew me during that time, 7th grade through high school, even if you weren't at Stratton, to stand up, please. Anyone. But I'm gonna know if you're faking it and we don't know each other whatsoever. Again, you down. So, all of you helped shape who I am today, and any kind of success I had up there is because of everyone standing up right now. And I'm glad you're standing up too, Edith, because I wouldn't have gone to California if it wasn't for Stratton. I wouldn't have had any kind of athletic success. I wouldn't have done cycling, anything, without everyone standing up here and what Stratton afforded me. I've never forgotten my love of Stratton, ever, even if I moved out west. And you can sit down now. but it's really true, you know. I went on to success in this, but I've always felt like a fish out of water. And people who know me well, people in this room know that. You know, people in cycling don't know that. Why do you want to coach? Why do you want to do this? But like, my heart has always been here and in skiing, and I'm just so thankful. And Stratton gave me that start, so thank you. So to be in the first class, thank you very much. I know it's the last to commit, but it's a long way from California, so I cannot thank everyone enough, especially anyone who stood up. So thank you.
This one's going the other way, though. Devana off to the races. The pelmet's on her. Devana will turn off! And the pole of Kristin Luckenbill keeps it scoreless here at Harvard Stadium.
Has your ski experience helped you at all with playing soccer?
I think so. I think it has. I think it helps with your balance. For goalkeeping especially, it's a lot of the same movement, a lot of the same agility and muscles.
I thought I might be a hair nervous, but I'm not because I can't see anyone. And also, I do know that row 4, all of you were drinking tequila last night. I've seen you. Anything will happen to me right now. Truly honored to be up here, to be part of this first class, and as well to be in such great company with the others being honored today. So congratulations to you all as well. My standing up here right now, I think, is a huge testament to the effectiveness of the Stratton Mountain School. If we were to go back to, 1993, I think it was, when I started looking at Stratton and really wanted to go to a ski academy, I'm certain that I was nowhere on a list of people that would ever be considered in the future for an SMS Hall of Fame. Ross's name would have been there. Ross would have been at the top of the list. My name, nowhere to be found. And for those who don't know me and don't know my background, I'll tell you why that was the case. I came from Pennsylvania. I was a very good soccer player. I really wanted to be a ski racer, but my parents understandably did not want to drive me to the Poconos for depressing weekends. Really didn't want to spend 6 to 8 hours driving me through icy roads to Vermont every weekend so I could be part of the ski racing program. So I decided to come to Stratton Mountain School. I'd actually never even been in a ski race before. And understandably as well, Stratton Mountain School wasn't super thrilled about me attending there because, like I said, never been in a ski race. What are you, nuts? You want to go to a ski academy, like one of the most serious ones? And I said, I do, I really do. And my parents actually listened to their 8th grade daughter and were like, let's go see what this is all about. And we drove up to Stratton, and actually TD McCormick, I have to say thank you, because the school didn't really want to take a look at me. A friend of my parents gave him a phone call, said she's a great athlete, maybe just give her a chance, and he said, let's give her a chance. So thank you, TD, for helping me get here, and super grateful for the opportunity. The other thing that I remember from my visit to Stratton Mountain School, it was awesome to meet Juli yesterday, because when I got to Stratton Mountain School, I remember looking at her poster on the wall. And here's a poster. We had all the Olympians, and they're still over here, and everyone's skiing or snowboarding, and hers was on a mountain bike. And I just had this thought where I was like, you know what, if she can come to Stratton Mountain School for skiing and end up being a total badass in a summer sport, then why can't I do that? So thank you, Juli, for that inspiration, which you probably had no idea that inspired me for so many years. So it's all your fault that I did this to myself. So yeah, my first year at SMS, a bit rocky in the winter term. I didn't know how to tune my skis, didn't know how to wax, didn't know how to do anything, didn't know how to sign up for a race. I probably embarrassed myself quite a bit on and off the slopes. But year over year, I embarrassed myself hopefully a little bit less on and off the slopes, and actually stayed pretty good at soccer the whole time as well. And as Sarah mentioned, used SMS as a jumping off point to go to Dartmouth, to play soccer there, also to ski on the ski team, and then go on to play pro soccer and go to the Olympics and win gold. There are so many ways that my foundation at Stratton Mountain School really set the stage for my future career. And I can't list them all. TV would kill me and tell me 4 minutes. I'm probably already past. But I'll tell a quick story, which is after my first winter term, I went back to Pennsylvania to play a soccer tournament, and my coaches had been a little hesitant. They didn't really know, what is this ski academy thing? What is even ski racing, and what's your best time? And so they were a little suspect, this whole experience, and I honestly was a little skeptical myself because I hadn't touched a soccer ball in 6 months. I didn't know how this was going to go. And the first half of my first game back, I was a midfielder back then before I got stuck in the goal. And I just remember scoring a goal from 40 yards out, total rocket, like laser into the upper corner. So my legs were like so strong, and my coach pulled me aside at halftime and just said, "You know what, Kristin? If you're gonna score goals like that, you can go to a ski academy anytime." And it was truly a pivotal moment for me, because it was at that moment that I realized, like, you know what? I think this is truly going to actually really work out, as it obviously did. It's been said several times today, it does take a village, so I do want to thank all the coaches, the staff, the teachers, the entire SMS community, my friends, folks that have been on this journey with me, you know, at Stratton and afterwards. You are truly have made me a better athlete and a better human being. And then, of course, I thank my parents. Now I'm going to get emotional, but for being cool enough to listen to your 13-year-old daughter's crazy idea to go to a ski academy as a soccer player. So, truly grateful. Thank you.
Ross Powers, no stranger to competition or pressure, Kevin.
It is amazing to watch him.
Oh, huge!
I found my 2002 tie. All right. Thank you for the kind words, Scotty. It's an honor to be inducted to the Stratton Mountain School Hall of Fame. Congratulations to all my fellow inductees. SMS on its 50th year anniversary, and the class of 2022 graduated yesterday. I grew up right down the road in South Londonderry, Vermont. My mom worked at Bromley Mountain for as long as I can remember. She just retired this year, but at least over 45 years. So I like to say Bromley was my babysitter every weekend, every holiday. My brother Trevor and I were there, and good thing we loved skiing and snowboarding. My second year snowboarding at Bromley, I heard about a competition series, the Green Mountain Series, and I wanted to sign up for a race. This is when I met Susie Ruick. Susie started the series, and she started the first snowboard competition program at Stratton. I want to thank Susie for all of her support over the years, being my first coach, taking our team to so many of the first USASA Nationals. After having success in the Green Mountain Series and USASA Nationals, it was time for me to go to high school. Scott Palmer reached out to my mom and I. He was working up at CVA under Eric Webster, and he was going to start a first snowboard program at Stratton Mountain School. And Severi Caldwell was the head of school at the time, if anyone remembers that. Pretty amazing, and yeah, Severi also, through those years helping me get here, and then during my time starting coaching here, a great guy. So with Severi and Scott's help, the town support, and coming up and doing some work around the old school, I became a student athlete at Stratton Mountain School. The first year SMS snowboarding, there was 5 of us. Jay Fusco, Frank Knack, Jeff McMahon, John Small, and I. With following the Alpine and Nordic traditions, we had the opportunities to snowboard more, have top-level coaching, and still receive a great education. This set the tone for so many years of SMS snowboard accomplishments, including this year with a U.S. team nomination, 5 USASA National Championships medals, and 3 athletes qualifying for Junior Worlds. And who can forget alumni Lindsay Jacobellis going double gold at Beijing Olympics. Amazing. I still have so many great memories from my time as a student at Stratton Mountain School, from progressing my snowboarding with my teammates, traveling, and all the other activities we got into. I'm not going to get into the non-sanctioned events. Ever since I started started working at SMS, I've been getting my payback and not getting a number of gray hairs every year. But we know there were some, right, TD? Anyway, yesterday was my 12th year snowboarding, 12th year working at SMS. I've come full circle from those early snowboard days. I'm currently the director here at Stratton Mountain School of SMS Snowboarding that Scott Palmer, my snowboard coach while I was here, helped create. I co-direct the USASA Southern Vermont series that Susie Rogue started, and Scott carried on for several years. I founded the Level Field Fund, which supports athletes with financial need. And most importantly, I'm a husband to my wife Marissa, and a father to my 2 daughters, Victoria and Meredith. Yeah, time sure flies. It's crazy. 20 years since the Olympics, and who knows how long since I was at SMS. I just want to encourage any student athlete that's in this room to take advantage of the opportunities here. I mean, it's amazing. The old school, all the accomplishments out of here, there, and now coming to this new campus that Chris Caltzis did so much, and Carson leads up along now. It's so many opportunities. I see the Simpsons, they were sitting right behind me, what they did with the Simpson Center, having a ramp to phone, trampoline, skate park, just the stuff we could only dream of when we were kids. I want to thank my family, friends, teammates, coaches, athletes, co-workers here at SMS, the SMS community as a whole, Strat, and everyone else who supported me along my career. Thank you very much.
During the winter time, one of my favorite things to look forward to was weekly arrival of one of my best buddies, an arch rival, Kim Reichhelm. Right? She would drive up, actually George drove up every weekend, bless those parents that drove up every weekend, from Connecticut with her family to come and ski at Stratton. As little girls, and we're talking 6 years old, T.D. McCormick, thank you very much. We had a blast with each other, both on the hill and off. Whether it was bombing around on the mountain with the 3s and 4s and TD, racing the PB races, or flying down the Suntanner on borrowed lunch trays from the base lodge. Actually, this last one was a real problem for me because Emo Hendrick was my dad and the director of skiing, and I couldn't get in trouble. And she'd always say, "Come on, we can't get caught. Come on, Benz, they won't catch us." The stories are endless with my dear friend, and Kim's toughness was apparent early. One moment sticks in my mind. As Mike Frost and I recall this morning at coffee, and we were hungover, sorry, it was a great party last night. It was a cold as hell, icy Stratton morning, GS training. We are on the snowboat lift, and as we all did in those days, you took your ski pole and you chipped the ice off your seat so your ass wouldn't freeze. Kim and I were doing this, right? And at the highest point of the lift, Kim, she slips out of the chair. Boom, 40 feet down, which is a 40-foot drop. There she is on the ground, out cold below me. Mike's on the seat in front of me. He turns around from the seat and he goes, and I'm like, what do I do? She's out cold down below. And he's like, I'm not jumping out here. Bless his heart, he did jump out of the lift a little bit later when it was a little lower. And by the time he got to her, she was alert, not a scratch. She is one tough cookie. Right from the start, Kim pushed me to be better. I was always just behind her on the podium. And always on the edge of my comfort zone. She pushed me that little extra bit to be a better me. Come on, Benz. They'll never catch us. Then, in the early 70s, life would change. When Kim and I became students at the newly formed Stratton Mountain School, boy did things change. Now, instead of having to wait for the weekend to see my friend, we were going to school together, along with so many really amazing kids from Vermont and other far-flung states. The McNeilises, the Hellmans, the Tarinellis, the Frost family, Mike Frost, Bill Bast. All these biggest names, Mike Kenny, who came last night to the party, haven't seen him since 40 years, Calvin Urban, Scott Hardy. All those kids were just amazing, great skiers, and they were enrolled in the school back in those early days of SMS. I, for one, felt fortunate and much a part of Kim's family, spending time with her brothers Scott and Todd up at the Reichhelm house, along with the whole school, of course, but I was there a lot. The stories continue. Racing, of course, a big part of our lives. One race I remember, we were heading up the North American lift for a GS. At the top, as we head to start, I yell out, "Good luck, Kim!" She glances back at me, and she does this laugh. "That's why I'm gonna beat you!" I love her laugh. Kim's still challenging me. I was right behind her on the podium, always pushing me to be a better me. Come on, Benz. They won't catch us. Oh, excuse me. It's been a lot of years. Over the years, we've stayed in touch. Gosh, through thick and thin. Boyfriends, husbands, many of them. Injuries, illness, good times and bad. She's been such an inspiration with her incredible, adventurous exploits. Whether it's windsurfing in the gorge, okay, keep up here, kite surfing in Baja at her surf break in Mexico, charging the steeps while hellying in Chugach Mountains of Alaska, ripping ridiculously steep, I still haven't done them, terrain in the Andes at one of her Ski with Kim clinics. My childhood friend, so lucky, continues to this day to challenge herself and others to get outside of their comfort zone, master new challenging skills, and enjoy life to its fullest. Of course, there's one more story, sorry. I'm in Alaska visiting bird ski, and if you don't know who bird ski is, ask one of the kids here. Kim is there with her clients. A call comes at 5 a.m. "Benz, there's a seat open on the bird. Do you want to join us?" Okay, so who's going to say no to that, right? I was a little hesitant because I just had a newly fabricated knee, but what the hell, right? Sure. I go to be briefed. You know, at the beginning you have to be briefed. Yes, you can die in an avalanche. Here's your beacon. And as the chopper takes off, we head deep into the Chugach. Those are the mountains of Alaska. The pilot swings around and barely touching one strut onto a rock cliff. Kim looks at me. I'll never forget this. She goes, "Benz, there's no room for errors here." We crawl out of the bird onto that rock cliff. You know, I don't know if you've ever been to ski boots on rock. They suck. 500 vertical feet of rock below us. Long story short, if you fall, you're dead. And we continue to crawl with our skis across to where the snow is. The bird takes off. I don't know if you've ever been out helicopter skiing, but he's gone. There's no turning back. We are talking Warren Miller steep. I mean, that's what it felt like to me. She's probably gonna say it was a really easy ride, but anyways, I am beyond my comfort zone. And I look at Kim, and she's like, "You got this. I'll be right there behind you." That time she was behind me, thank God. That's Kim, always pushing me to be a better me. And as we float down, and she does, on those steep slopes, she glides amazingly past me. "Come on, Benz." They will never catch up. So who should be put in the Stratton Mountain School Hall of Fame? What is the criteria? Someone who has really done it all in the world of skiing and stayed true to her roots. A Stratton hopeful, a 3 and 4, thanks TD, a 1 and 2, a US ski team member, a collegiate All-American, a pro tour member, a world extreme skiing champion, a TV commentator and ski action star, a highly regarded ski guide, a pioneering founder of the women's ski adventure movement, a leading successful businesswoman in the ski industry, and most recently recognized by Ski Magazine as one of the most influential people in skiing. It is her lust for life that sets Kim apart from the herd. Recognized for her skiing expertise and knowledge by major ski brands, Kim has carved out an incredibly unique niche within the ski world, one in which she helps companies develop new, innovative products designed especially for women skiers. Through her work with these companies, Kim has created opportunities for women to push their boundaries while enjoying cutting-edge new products. This positive Kim effect extends to all who know her, and everybody in this room who knows Kim knows this. To always push us to be better. Please join me as we watch a quick video that will give you an insight into how my dear friend Kim has positively impacted the image of women in our sport.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome extreme skier Kim Reichhelm. Kim?
What happened was when I retired from ski racing, I really wanted to continue to challenge my skiing. So I challenged it through more difficult terrain.
The next big challenge is to continue to ski for the rest of my life and stay healthy.
After Benzie, I don't really have much to say. I think she pretty much covered it all. I'm honored and humbled to be recognized in 50 years. It's a pretty big deal. And, you know, it's a little strange because all I've ever done my entire life is follow my heart. I'm not saying that I haven't worked really hard, but I've pursued things that I love, and they have brought me so much reward, and with it, the success. But I don't ever, all the choices that I ever made, everything that I didn't do for money or recognition. I did it because it made me feel good, it made me happy. Helping other people or giving back to other people, it's in my DNA. You know, I asked myself, really, how did I get here? If you were a teacher of mine, or even a fellow student, you would know that I wasn't really a very good student. But what I learned at Stratton Mountain School, I didn't learn in books. I learned the life lessons that made me a strong person. I learned how to have self-discipline. I learned how to take chances. I learned to assess risk. I learned to set goals. I learned to work hard and be in great shape. I learned how to recover from those puke sprints that Fritz used to make us do. God, do you remember those things? You know, I learned to care about other people. I learned camaraderie and friendship. I learned how to get in all kinds of trouble and then get out of it. But you know, as a kid, I struggled. I failed English in 3rd grade. I really struggled academically, but I ruled the playground. The jungle gym was mine. Foursquare I owned. I was a leader in kickball. And all my confidence came from my athleticism. And if it weren't for a place like Stratton Mountain School, that confidence never would have been able to be cultivated. I mean, at that age, there wasn't anything like Stratton Mountain School. And I'm so grateful to Warren Hellman and Don Tarinellis for their vision and their fortitude. You know, creating this academy, creating a place for those of us that needed to find our place in the mountains and on the hill and challenge ourselves and skiing in the pouring rain and freezing our butts off and being happier than we could ever be anywhere else in the world. You know, I just can't thank them enough for creating this amazing establishment. You know, the Reichhelm family, we started skiing in the early 60s. When I was 3 years old, we loaded up the car from Connecticut and drove up to Vermont, and we went to Bromley. And my dad, we didn't have a great experience. I was only 3, so I barely remember much of it, but my dad wasn't very impressed with it, Bromley, so the following weekend, he packed us all up and we came to Stratton. And when he went to buy his lift tickets, he said to the gentleman at the ticket counter, he said, "How can I be sure that my family is gonna be well taken care of and have a good time skiing?" And the gentleman said, "Mr. Reichhelm, here are your tickets for your family. You go out and ski and have a good time. And if you enjoy your experience here at Stratton, you can come back at the end of the day and pay for your lift tickets then." Well, Stratton became our home. And I'm extremely happy about that. You know, there was no Bromley Ski Educational Foundation, and there isn't any Bromley Mountain School. So clearly, the Reichhelm family ended up in the right place. I was possessed with ski racing. I could not think about anything else. All I wanted to do was ski. Actually, even before ski racing, just being a skier in general, I just loved being in the mountains. I loved the wind in my face. I loved the independence of the sport. And I can remember actually, one of my earliest childhood memories was riding up the chairlift on the Suntanner and looking down and seeing the ski racers. And I just said, wow, you know, those are the coolest people on the mountain. And I looked over at whoever was riding next to me and said, "See those guys? That's the ski team. They're the best skiers on the mountain. I'm gonna be a ski racer." So I proceeded to drag my entire family into ski racing. And when I was 12 years old, I started attending Stratton Mountain School. Probably one of the luckiest 12-year-olds that exists today. And just everybody's been so eloquent in sharing all their amazing experiences and the people they're with, and I keep thinking about all the trouble we got in, and how much I've learned from each one of those things. You know, I can't believe that they took us to Europe and just let us go. So, you know, we were in Hintertux training, and we would go down to Meyerhofen on, every 3 days a week to get out of Hintertux, and on our days off, they were like, "Okay, have fun." I mean, next thing you know, we're jumping on trains and traveling through Munich and going to Oktoberfest and the Hofbrauhaus, and we're just, the experience of playing slap tag in the cow fields in Hintertux. Do you guys remember that? Literally just cow patties everywhere. The boys all had to take off their shirts, and if you got caught, you got your back slapped. This was a really good life lesson. Anything in a book, but slap tag, that's my game. Everything about this place makes me proud. I'm so proud to tell my friends that I graduated from Stratton Mountain School. 44 years after my graduation here, I share it with anybody I can. This is clearly one of the most unique and outstanding establishments in the country, and I'm so proud to be a part of this place. In the end, I ended up quitting ski racing, and I didn't really know what to do next. And I was working in broadcasting, and I retired from professional ski racing. I wasn't ski racing anymore. I was working in broadcasting, and for the first time, I didn't have to train. I just found myself riding up the chairlift and looking down at the gates and going, "Holy shit, I don't have to run gates anymore. I don't need pads, I don't need shin guards, I don't need a helmet." And I started looking up at a mountain for the very first time. And all of a sudden, my eyes got open and my whole world got open to an entire new aspect of the sport of skiing, which was big mountain free skiing at the time called extreme skiing. And it was just like a bonus, the biggest bonus point to my ski career, to be able to enjoy and compete and travel and even make money just skiing. just having fun skiing in the mountains. But again, it was all the discipline that I learned. It was the hard work, the training, the being in shape, taking risk, managing myself, my time, all the lessons that I learned here at Stratton that allowed me to continue to excel as a skier outside of the racing format. And then later on, I realized that, you know, when I help somebody else out, when I put my own wishes aside, my own ego of jumping off some cliff or some rock and just stopped and helped somebody along that didn't necessarily have the confidence and the experience that I had, that was probably the biggest change in my whole life, because I found that I got more reward. I felt better about myself when I did something for somebody else. And you know, when I was a young ski racer, I was pretty selfish. I was pretty all about me. So this was a big turning point for me to understand and to get that feeling, that sensation. You've all had it. When you put yourself aside and you do something for somebody else and you make a difference in their life, and that makes you feel better than you've ever felt. And so that was the beginning of my business, Women's Ski Adventures. And I'm the luckiest person in the world. I get to spend time with people on vacation. My job is taking people on ski holidays around the world and creating the best experiences possible that I can for them. And there aren't words to say how appreciative I am to have had this background and these people and these friends who have guided me along the way. Everybody, you're all with me all the time. And I just, you know, I will cherish it until the end. Thank you so much.
It's great to be back at Stratton, the place where it all began. It's probably been close to 21 years since I've been last here. I had no way of knowing what kind of journey I was about to embark on 40 years ago. I do remember my first visit at Stratton back in 1982, like it was yesterday. It was not the campus of today, that's for sure. When I first arrived at Stratton, it was an old hotel, built, made into one school. We had, you know, everything we needed. It was perfect, nothing fancy. Classrooms, bedrooms, dining room, and I think actually a really nice library too. I grew up as the youngest of four, as my sister was just saying. I was always following my siblings' footsteps. I should tell you that I was not the prodigy skier of the family or from Tri-State where I came from. I was going to a ski academy because that's what my family did. Before I visited Stratton, my neighbor and I went to visit another ski academy that we thought we were locked into, and that's where we're going. Our minds were already made up. Well, let's just say that didn't go according to plan. And on the way home, we were talking about, you know, how our plan was diverted and was not going to work out. So we came up to Stratton unannounced. We walked into the building and we met a gentleman there who stood up. He was a senior at the time, Lance Peterson. He introduced himself to us, shook our hand, made us feel very welcome. And he jumped up with enthusiasm and said, "Let me go get Larry Herrick." Right there. And the rest, as they say, is history. We've all heard that saying, you never know how you might change someone's day with a smile or an act of kindness. Well, maybe Lance and Larry should probably be getting awards today too, because that's really what they did back then. They changed the direction of where I was going and thought I was going to go to, and ended up right here today. I'm truly both humbled and honored to be part of SMS history. I sincerely thank you for acknowledging all my accomplishments. Although they might be not as prestigious as all the others, congratulations, Kim and Juli, Ross and Kristin, bravo. And Tri-State Vermont was referred to as the big leagues, and I was petrified when I first was coming up to Vermont. It was a big jump. I wasn't the star from Tri-State. It was a lot like the US ski racers, I think, today when they go over to Europe for the first time and race a FIS race in Europe or a Europa Cup. I often get the question, did you just have it? You know, the it factor. I think there might be a little truth to that. Everyone must have a little natural ability, but it's what one does with that little ability or a lot ability. Overall, I believe my success came from the bond and the trust with my teammates, classmates, coaches, and teachers. I remember Julie Woodworth and Jana and Heidi Frost, Teeny Hendrick. They gave me the nickname, besides Minnow, Ankle Biter. And at 13, I quickly realized that was a compliment and that they might know something I did not. I'm not sure I'd do it all over again, but I certainly, if I did, I would pick the exact path I took. Sometimes we take for granted how fortunate we were to have shared the Stratton experience. I don't think I would have achieved my goals without the unconditional support and trust from my friends, teammates, teachers, family, coaches, and of course, those great technicians, Mike DeSantis, who made my skis rockets and really helped me my last little bit of my career to get the best of the best, skis and preparation. My first roommates were Nikki Madjar, Holly Russell, and Mickey Abenhouse. I bet Nick and Holly are kind of chuckling at me right now. We could not have been more polar opposites, but we always motivated each other to work hard, strive for success. In a way, we all pushed each other. It drove us to be the best us. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't think of Holly and Mickey, especially in tough decisions. I think of what they might try to advise me and guide me to make my decision. But again, I'd like to thank the entire SMS community who guided me, gave me this wonderful opportunity. I will always credit SMS and Stratton as my foundation that started everything. If I could leave you with one little piece of fun advice, always be faster than the boys.
Woo! 1974. I recently evaded the Vietnam War draft. I'll let that sink in. I'm hitchhiking through Vermont just after grad school and stop in to see a friend, Rich Hindley, at this odd, out-of-the-way school. I thought I might try teaching someday, but I had just escaped a classroom and just wasn't ready for re-entry. Rich offered me a job, though, nonetheless, starting late that fall, and having nowhere else to go, I said, sure. I knew national level athletics, but I knew nothing about skiing, and some might say I still don't. However, I could teach how to write good. I never met Warren Hellman in this process, but I did interview with Don Tarinellis in Fairfield. I wasn't sure what the outcome would be, but apparently I was found acceptable. More than that, Don and his family were generous in their offer of a bunk space in their Stratton house. They were not disturbed with having a bearded orc in their basement. My primary job was to make sure young Don was up at some ungodly hour because, well, Herman was waiting. So why this school? Turns out the Tarinellis and the Hellmans had children who thought it might be fun to see if gravity and centrifugal force really wanted to force their exit on the high side of a turn on the white-faced DH course at, say, 60 miles an hour. I could relate to that as a wayward child of the 60s. Then came the Nordic program, and I knew this school and the Tarinellis' motives for getting this place up and running were legit. As with rowing, my sport, in Nordic you go until you puke and call it fun. For me, that was far safer because I was a class action suit on alpine skis. We owe the Tarinellis a debt of gratitude for their vision and gamble. A remarkable group of teachers and coaches, a group of school then kind of shaky, should not have expected, started going up the country and emerged from the woods to work at SMS. We have come from the staff of 1974 wondering if our paycheck would bounce to this stunning campus and an institution with a firm taproot in Vermont's rocky soil. Well done, Tarinellis. Well done indeed. Thank you. I believe we have video.
Some two solid runs. How do you feel about it?
Oh, I feel great. Coming in this week, I've just been taking it easy. I haven't even been, training as hard as I should have been. I was like, oh, I'm going to embarrass myself. But I just came through the finish line first run. I was so happy. I was like, oh, yes, I finally actually skied well this year. So I'm really happy.
TD's video was great, but I can fill in a lot more detail. I was there, a fly on the wall when all this started. Our family went up to Stratton, I think in 1964, maybe 5, the first time we drove up. At the time, there was no Route 91, so we went through Springfield, Northampton, Greenfield. We were from Connecticut. Stratton consisted of the Tyrolean lift, the Suntanner, and the North American. The trails at the top were Tamarack, North American, Rhineline, Standard, and I was able to do Wanderer. We stayed at a place called Windham Hill Farm and did a ski week. We did it next year. And the next year, we built the crazy house that actually was the first Stratton school. And so Debbie is 15 months older than me. Tina's 3 years younger, Mark's another 3 years younger. Debbie and I were always paired together. She was a true prodigy. I wasn't. But we went through the Stratton Ski School, and eventually, one day, they said, we were now expert skiers, we could vadel, and you're done. You've learned everything there is. So we told my father, and he said, well, now you can race. And Debbie and I both went, we don't want to race. And my father's like, well, you have to. It's the next thing you have to do. So we were like, oh, okay. Yeah, we were like 9 years old, so we just said, oh, okay. If we were teenagers, we said no. So the next day we went, and they had a ski program. They had a ski club, and it was over there. And there were families of Jimmy Pluff, Doles, Smiths were across the street from us, the Greffs, the Hellmans, obviously. And Mr. Shy actually put the gates in, and I didn't know what to do. Finally, Debbie got through it, and she came up to me and said, it's easy, you just turn around the poles. So I was like, oh, I can do that. And maybe about 15 years later, I started trying to do it fast. So anyhow, each year the program got a little bigger. It was just a ski club, it was a weekend thing. I know Herman came and went to Brownlee. I'm not sure the exact order of things, but one day in the spring, this fellow was there, and he said his name was TD, and that stood for terribly dashing. And it really turned a corner on the whole program because TD had such enthusiasm, and you just wanted to go ski with TD. It was just so much fun. It didn't matter how good you were or whatever. He had an insult for everybody. So the program just got bigger and bigger. There's the 3s and 4s, and Debbie went through all that. I was in the hopeful program because I didn't make the 3 and 4 team. So I got to ski with Vince Clark. Anybody remembers him? Vince Clark was the only coach I ever had who basically insisted you should really ski out of control. He'd be yelling, let him rattle. So anyhow, eventually As the programs are getting bigger and bigger, Herman had the ski camps in Austria. There's a really good picture of that. And so we went to Austria and we trained, and I noticed that we never stayed in the same hotel. But yeah, and I also have to shout out a bit to Herman, because to be in that, especially the gym in Zellensee, which had all these torture equipments, and to see the things Herman could do, I mean, it was such a privilege to see somebody who could do that. And then it's easy, you do it. I'm like, I don't even know what you did. Anyhow, so there's long ski camps, particularly over Christmas, but we were still going back and forth. So when you're in the 3s and 4s, you could ski on a race on Saturday and ski practice on Sunday. But when we got to the 1s and 2s, there's races every day. So after when Debbie became a O2, the first race, this is actually the first time I made the 3 and 4 team. So we came back and the first race was at Stratton. And we're like, how did everyone do? And well, Debbie Tarinellis won by 6 seconds. And this is a long time ago. So in those days, GS was one and run. So she won by that much, and then she successively got worse and worse and worse. My father was trying to figure out a way to get her onto snow. And so it wasn't working going to Connecticut. So he took her, Burke had started, he took her up there, and they checked it out, and they came with the conclusion, Burke is a long way. It's very far. It's kind of casual. And it seems like the teachers are coaches because they're coaches and they're there anyhow, so now they're teaching. And I'm not, I know there's at least one Burke alumni here. Yeah, Burke is a great place. It's a good way. So anyhow, my father got the idea to hire a tutor for Debbie because, she was also a straight A student. So it was no big deal. And he put an ad in the New York Times. And I do very clearly remember this man showing up with a duffel bag. It's a post office. And there were all these resumes, and they just dumped them on the floor. And there's like hundreds of them. And my father and mother went through them, and they were just, wow, look at this one. Look at this one. This is unbelievable. And so at dinner, my father just goes, there's so many resumes, we could hire like 4 teachers and start a school. And bingo. So that was really when it started, or that was the original idea. Now, of course, Debbie was best friends and rivals with Francis. And so Francis knew about all this stuff, and if Debbie was doing it, Francis was going to do it. So the next phone call was to Warren Hellman, and he signed in immediately, and they pretty much paired up, and that was the start of the school. Yeah, so the first year, Paul Johnston was the headmaster with Jill Weitz. I just want to read out some of the people who were involved. Mike Dooley was a coach, Paul Ratt-Reed, Tim Beck, Heidi Voelker, obviously Fritz, Brian Burkett. I don't remember quite so many of the teachers. But the first year the school was in our chalet, and then it went to the chapel basement, and then finally to the hotel's high roll. It was first in the basement when it was operated as a hotel. That might have sealed its fate as a hotel. But to see this campus now, it's just unbelievable. It's great to be a part of this. And, yeah, one other, because you saw Benzie and Kim, my friend Scott, I have lifelong friends from this place. So it's been great. Thanks.
I want to wish Stratton Mountain School a very happy 50th birthday, and I want to thank the Stratton Mountain School for instilling in me a lifetime love of outdoor sports. Tricia?
Thanks, Mick. And thank you, SMS, for teaching me the importance of drills and hard work, and for taking such care to nurture and grow the project started by my parents and the Tarinellis 50 years ago. Francis.
Well, happy birthday. It's amazing that it's been this long. And I want to thank the Stratton Mountain School for giving me a healthy balance between athletics and academics that I've cherished my entire life, starting there. Judith.
Well, wow, 50th birthday, hard to believe. I want to thank SMS for teaching me about working hard and persevering and how to live and stay friends with your competitors, and for instilling in me and my family a lifelong love of skiing, fitness, and health.
Go SMS.
Happy birthday.
Yes. So I was there at the very beginning of this adventure called the Stratton Mountain School, and 50 years ago, give or take. And I remember that moment vividly when I was standing at just outside our house at Hellman House and watching my parents driving the station wagon down the driveway to the end, watching the taillight blinking left in the twilight as they headed off back to Manhattan for that 5-hour drive. And I got to stay at Stratton and ski. And it was such a great moment of just opportunity and feeling like the world was just opening up for me. And I didn't have to go back to Manhattan to all that crazy busyness, and I got to stay and be a ski racer. People often wonder why my parents and the Tarinellis decided to start the Stratton Mountain School back in 1972. And I would say that it wasn't really a matter of sitting down and having a meeting and writing up a mission and a long-term vision and all of that. It was more a response to a more pressing need at the time, which was for us city kids to get a chance to do more training because we really wanted to be good ski racers. And so how could we do that? The first thing we tried was to drive up to Great Gorge on weeknights, but that was exhausting and really didn't work out. And so I think at that point, my parents looked for other solutions and other people who would be interested. And there were a number of very promising athletes at Stratton at the time that were interested. And so they decided to give it a try. The Stratton Mountain School is so important to my family. All 3 of my siblings graduated from the school, and personally, I learned so many lessons there that have been helpful to me in life. I'm just going to cite 3 of those now. The first being the importance of drills when you're trying to learn any difficult skill. The second is when you're going over a knoll from flat to steep, be sure to lean forward and not back. And then the third is always to look ahead. And I have used these lessons for so many things in life, leading to such diverse things as founding a free clinic, founding a new ski academy, and just, graduating from medical school and many, many other things. So I'm very grateful to the Stratton Mountain School. I wish my parents, Chris and Warren Hellman, could have been here today to see how far Stratton Mountain School has come since those early days. I think they just would have been so proud to see the number of students who've come through the doors this year, 150 plus, that so many have made it onto national teams, over 100, and competed in the Olympics, 46, and gotten into such wonderful colleges and gone on to such great careers and even founded whole new disciplines like mountain biking and extreme skiing, as some of the today's Hall of Fame inductees have done. And I'm just very grateful that you're recognizing our family with a Hall of Fame induction, and very glad that I've been able to make these comments today, and thank you so much. And here's to many, many more years of success for the Stratton Mountain School.